Welcome back to the channel, man. My name is Islam Universe, and today we are watching The Awakening of Jim Carrey, Hollywood's worst nightmare. If y'all enjoyed this content, make sure you hit that like button, hit that sub button, hit that bell button so you know when I post, and hit them comments so I know what you're thinking. And with all that being said, peoples, hit that intro.
She love Mario.
Come and rock with me, come rock with me. Can't you see? Four rocks in my hand and see the diamond look like seeds. Angel right there with that Jesus P. She be on her knee, watch her give me up so crazily. She call me Mr. Ski.
Alright, we're back with another Patrick CC video. I'm gonna go ahead and hop into it and see what's up with him. The Awakening of Jim Carrey.
Once he reached the pinnacle of fame and fortune, he realized it was all a lie. Hollywood sold Jim Carrey the dream. You're gonna be a big star. This next opportunity is going to be your breakout moment. He became addicted to this and spent half of his life failing to develop a successful career. He was desperate for the acceptance and approval of others who were willing to discard him whenever they pleased. Yet through the power of divine intervention or just pure talent, he finally made it. He made classic films in multiple genres, generating billions of dollars and inspiring people all over the world, and yet he felt empty, alone, lacking purpose and identity. And once the Hollywood facade veered its ugly head, Carrey did not run away. Instead, he used his platform to expose the soulless, evil industry that's praised by innocent people who don't understand they are being fooled.
Jim, you got really dressed up for the occasion. You look good.
I didn't get dressed up.
Who did?
There is no me.
There's no you.
No.
We're not here. This is a dream.
It's just things happening. And there are clusters of tetrahedrons moving around together.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's happening in our world right now?
It's not our world.
None
That's
of this
the
is
key.
real?
Nope.
So you're just passing
We don't
through.
matter. We don't matter.
The first time Jim Carrey experienced failure was when he was 15 at the Toronto comedy club Yuck Yucks. I stood up there and I did this horrible, corny act. Halfway through it, they started playing the soundtrack of Jesus Christ Superstar, saying, "Crucify him, crucify him, crucify him." Mark got on the microphone backstage and went, "Totally boring, totally boring." I was 15. I got no leeway for that at all. His first time on stage was so traumatic, it's surprising Carrey didn't quit comedy altogether.
For real, though, I
He
wanna
took
get
a
up out of
2-year
that.
break was because his family was so poor they could not afford to invest in his dream. The family of 4 lived in a Volkswagen van near Burlington, Canada. Jim and his brother John also spent months living in a tent in the Charles Daly Park on Lake Ontario. But Jim soon overcame his fears and returned back to the stage in 1979. The 17-year-old quickly transitioned from open mics to regular paid shows. In addition to growing in popularity, Carrey attempted to break into the industry by auditioning to be a cast member for the 1980-1981 season of NBC's Saturday Night Live. Unfortunately, SNL's executive producer selected Charles Rocket over Carrey. Facing failure once again, Carrey continued performing stand-up across Toronto and the surrounding towns. The reason why some people rejected Jim's comedy early on was because, well, there wasn't really much comedy in it. He was merely an impressionist. He could mimic and resemble famous people or characters. His act didn't have transition jokes or stories, just impression after impression.
Could you imagine the Fonz hosting a cooking show? Hey, right. You take your pot and you put it on the stove like this. First you fill it with water like this. Alright, you follow me so far?
Luckily for Jim, there was someone very powerful out there who did believe in him. Writer for the Toronto Star, Bruce Blackadar, raved about Carrey, calling him a genuine star coming to life. Carrey receiving significant mainstream media coverage for the first time ignited the much-needed momentum in his career. The review increased demand for his impressionist stand-up act throughout the country. In April of 1981, he appeared in an episode of the television stand-up show An Evening at the Improv. That summer, he landed his first acting role in Introducing Janet, a made-for-TV movie that premiered in September 1981 on the CBC and drew more than 1 million viewers for its first airing in Canada. As he continued to perform in comedy clubs nationwide, comedian Rodney Dangerfield took notice and signed him to open his tour. By December of 1981, Carrey was a well-known comic in Canada.
I mean, I don't think everyone has that mobility, that flexibility. I mean, have you ever thought about that?
Not, well, I guess it's because I'm tremendously vain and I stand in the mirror a lot.
What about Sylvester Stallone?
Hey, yo, I do. Hey, you're gonna go out with me, Mickey. I mean, if you don't, I'm gonna break your legs. You know what I mean?
I'll go.
Okay, all right.
But every time Jim took one step forward in his career, his momentum would come to a screeching halt. And I don't mean to bring the momentum of this video to a screeching halt, but I do have to tell you about today's sponsor.
Have you heard that the flavored air category is quickly becoming the leading alternative? The device feels refreshed for a limited device, and it's code Patrick Ernie Pack.
Regularly performed at. He decided to pack his bags and move to Hollywood at the beginning of 1983. He regularly performed at the Comedy Store and the Laugh Factory, two clubs that have been an incubator for just about every comedy legend in the 80s and 90s. Additionally, performing on The Tonight Show was a major milestone for a comedian's career, and it was a dream of Jim's. By the spring of 1983, he was invited to perform a stand-up set on the highly rated Late Night Show. This surely would have been the perfect recipe for Jim's career to skyrocket. However, following a lackluster club set at the Improv, the showrunners at Tonight revoked their invitation. I had kind of a lukewarm night, and then I heard the news that I had lost The Tonight Show. It could have been the end of me, but my brain has always had this fail-safe space that goes, I don't know how, but it's gonna happen a different way. Accepting failure again, Carrey returned home in April 1983 to rejuvenate and perform stand-up in a familiar environment. While in Toronto, CTV's flagship news magazine, Program W5, did a feature on Carrey that aired nationally in Canada.
Were you just born with this plastic face?
I guess. Always hamming it up, you know? It just sort of came natural. I didn't know until like a year ago that that was different than everybody else. That my face was so weird. I realized that that's what my special thing is, I guess, is that I'm weird. Is that I'm rubber.
One thing about Canada is they always held it down for Jim. They seemed to understand his greatness before the rest of the world did. This hometown motivation is just what he needed to keep his dreams alive. So yet again, he went back to Hollywood. Within a few months, Jim successfully landed the main role for a sitcom called The Duck Factory. Becoming the lead role in a sitcom was a massive opportunity that was seemingly reserved for A-list comedians in the 80s. It became a little more normalized in the 90s for new talent to get their own show. This means that Carrey was ahead of the curve, sitting on a potential gold mine. To promote the series, Carrey was set to appear on The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson, which aired on the same network as The Duck Factory. During his appearance, the 21-year-old went through most of his popular impressions.
Jack Nicholson. Clint Eastwood. E.T. the Extraterrestrial.
Unfortunately, The Duck Factory was canceled after just one season. However, there were two major reasons that led to the show's demise. Firstly, the episodes were aired out of order, making it impossible for anyone to follow the plot. Secondly, Jim played the role of the straight man, which is basically the guy who sets up the joke so the funny guy can deliver the punchline.
Roland, you want to take a look at this? Marty's script? Pass. It's really not as bad as you'd think.
I've heard the same thing said about raw fish, but I wouldn't want to try that either.
Although Carrey was the main character, they seemingly didn't play to his strengths. He never got the funny lines, and therefore the audience didn't really build a relationship with him. But still, Jim knew there was something around the corner from him. He finally got a taste of that Hollywood dream, and he could not subside. This was his destiny.
I used to open my arms. I used to sit up there, you know, and open my arms and imagine a giant funnel of gifts coming
would come right into
from the universe.
Yes.
Honest to God, you could, you know, cut to me there. I'm like this, and if nothing else, it made me feel more positive about where I was. I drove down from Mulholland Drive every night
you know, that I went up there feeling that I was one of the biggest actors in Hollywood. I was doing wonderful work that made people happy. I was, you know, I owned all that. That was it. You know, I guess, you know, what I own when you think about it is my faith.
He decided to audition for Saturday Night Live again, this time ahead of the show's 1985-86 season, during which returning executive producer ahead of the show's 1985-86.
Is that fucking Robert Downey Jr.? He was on SNL? I got down Iron Man, bro. Got down Iron Man before Iron Man, bro.
Season, during which returning executive producer Lorne Michaels sought to hire an all-new cast. 5 years after his previous SNL audition, 23-year-old Jim Carrey was rejected again. He never even got the opportunity to audition his material in front of Lorne Michaels because the producers and senior writers just assumed he wouldn't like it. But unlike his previous SNL rejection, Carrey was starting to establish a career for himself, and he did have something to fall back on. Once Bitten was a film released months after his SNL audition. However, it drowned in negative reviews while underperforming at the box office. After returning to the comedy club circuit with Impressions, Carrey made his third attempt at landing a spot on SNL in the fall of 1986. Unfortunately, he was rejected for the third and final time. The reason he tried so hard to land SNL is because it would have given him that legitimacy he needed as a comedian. Not to mention, he would have also perfectly fit into their sketch comedy format. But many people didn't think Jim Carrey was that funny. Some didn't even consider
they were
him a
down on my boy Jim
because,
Carrey
well,
before
he
he
didn't really tell jokes. Combine that with the fact that...
And the funny thing is, you haven't said this part of the story yet, but SNL rejected that nigga Jim Carrey 3 times. I guarantee you, when that nigga blew up, that's when they was like, yo, come here. I guarantee you.
His movies and TV roles were failing, and maybe that was an indication that he just wasn't going to be the Hollywood star that he and the people of Canada thought he would be. Or maybe it's because he wasn't being promoted in the right way or cast in the right roles. Perhaps Jim Carrey just didn't fit the mold that a comedian or actor in the 80s was supposed to be.
But I never make it in the normal ways. It's always the side window or the basement window or something like that. Same was, you know, it's been true all the way along.
Was it a tremendous defeat for you when you go and audition for Saturday Night Live? Because you were on it. Listen,
no,
you did
I have a
impressions.
psychotic belief system that goes, you know, something magical is going to happen. I don't know how it's going to happen, but if there's no way in, a new way will be created, kind of thing.
Most people would have given up, but Jim had invested so much into this life. He knew if he just stayed the course, something good would come. And surely, by divine intervention, luck, or just genuinely working on his craft, Jim Carrey made one connection that changed his career. Jim secured a role in the 1988 comedy film Earth Girls Are Easy, which is about a Southern California girl who befriends 3 furry aliens after their spaceship lands in her swimming pool. Actor and comedian Damon Wayans played an ancillary role in the film and was extremely impressed with Carrey's comedic talents. They became friends. Damon told his brother Keenan about Jim while he was developing the soon-to-be
connections, bro. That's all you need, connections.
The groundbreaking American sketch comedy television show In Living Color.
And Damon was like, yo, Keenan. Damon was Keenan's right-hand man. Okay. That's his lieutenant on Living Color.
Okay.
That was his right-hand man.
Okay.
So he was like, you gotta trust me. This white boy is funny. He's like silly putty. He twists himself up. He could suck his own if he tried. He's like, boy, crazy. And Keenan was like, okay, let me see him.
At a time when most sketch comedy shows were dominated by white performers, In Living Color stood out by centering Black and Latino talent, using humor to tackle issues like race, inequality, and stereotypes head-on. The show broke barriers by featuring skits that blended sharp social commentary with slapstick and absurd humor, often mocking political figures, celebrities, and cultural trends in ways that were both provocative and hilarious. Carrey was a key member on In Living Color, where he became known for his wild physical comedy and over-the-top character portrayals. As one of the few white cast members, he stood out for his high-energy performances and fearless commitment to outlandish roles, which showcased his talent for slapstick and exaggerated facial expressions.
This nigga's stupid, bro.
A real fireman.
That's right, princess. Say, I sure have a beautiful family here.
Why, thank you, Fire Marshal Bill. Now, how can we help you?
Well, it's National Fire Safety Week. I've been going door to door looking for fire hazards. Mind if I give your place a little inspection?
Carrey's role on In Living Color is exactly what he needed to prove to Hollywood that he could be a star. From there, he secured a lead role in a major Hollywood production, Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, which grossed $107 million worldwide. He finally did it. All his hard work paid off. He finally proved himself to Hollywood. And unlike all of his previous success, his momentum was not about to slow down. Jim Carrey was about to take over the 90s and become one of the greatest physical comedian actors in entertainment history. Warner immediately paid him $5 million to reprise his role as Ace Ventura. While filming The Mask, New Line Cinema offered Carrey $7 million to make a sequel and paid him $7 million to appear in Dumb and Dumber. At the time, it may have seemed unwise to offer Carrey such a large amount of money for a new talent. However, any skepticism regarding Carrey's ability to fill movie theater seats was laid to rest following the 1994 release of The Mask, a comedy film that follows Stanley Ipkiss, a mild-mannered, unlucky...
I think The Mask put me on Jim Carrey. I think that's the first time I seen Jim Carrey was The Mask. Yeah, it was. That's crazy. Shout out to The Mask, bro. Put me on a legend.
in-love bank clerk who discovers a magical mask that transforms him into a superhuman trickster with cartoonish abilities. The mask amplifies Stanley's hidden desire and confidence, turning him into a green-faced, wild, and unstoppable character with exaggerated powers reminiscent of classic animated characters. The Mask was a critical and commercial success, grossing over $350 million worldwide. 5 months after The Mask, New Line Cinema released Dumb and Dumber, the buddy comedy film Carrey starred in alongside Jeff Daniels.
I've never seen Dumb and Dumber. Never seen that fucking movie.
To be Carrey's co-star, but his team could not negotiate a $2 million increase fee. The company was reluctant to hire Daniels due to his limited comedic experience, but the writers and Carrey vocalized their support for him. New Line Cinema offered a low salary of just $50,000, hoping that Daniels would turn it down, but he accepted. Meanwhile, his co-star Jim Carrey was paid $7 million.
I can't feel my fingers anymore. I lie, they're numb.
Ooh. Maybe you should wear these extra gloves. My hands are starting to get sweaty.
The film was another commercial home run for Jim, grossing over $247 million worldwide against a budget of just $17 million. The stupid humor and quotable lines, driven by the outrageous antics of its lead characters, produced a classic. The following year, Carrey appeared as the Riddler in the 1995 superhero film Batman Forever. True to Jim's signature comedic
Mal! Mal!
style, his version of the Riddler was manic, flamboyant, and full of over-the-top antics, which contrasted with the darker, more subdued villains typically seen in the Batman universe. He brought a vibrant, almost cartoonish quality to the character. While some critics felt his performance leaned too much into comedy, others appreciated the unpredictable and zany energy he brought to the role. Carrey's contribution helped the film gross over $336 million worldwide,
that shit made money.
The 6th highest grossing film of 1995. Carrey was undoubtedly
who was on top
becoming
of that
the
list?
6th highest grossing film of 1995.
Like the #1 film of the 90s, but 95 at least, was Die Hard with a Vengeance. I think that's the second movie, right? Toy Story came out. I did not know Toy Story was that fucking old, bruh. I thought Toy Story came out like in 2000s or some shit. But Toy Story was second. Apollo 13, James Bond was fourth. I don't know what that is. What that's a cock. I don't know how to pronounce that. But that was fifth. Then Batman came sixth, seven. Never seen that movie. I think that's the movie where the nigga was like, "What's in the box?" And that's that movie. Casper. Never seen Casper all the way through. Only seen bits and pieces of Casper. Waterworld. Heard that was like a water version of Mad Max. Never seen Waterworld. And Jumanji. I've seen Jumanji a lot of times. But that came 10. So Die Hard were going crazy. Die Hard and Toy Story were going crazy in 95. Shout out to Toy Story, bro. They still going. They got like a fifth movie coming out. Shout out to Toy Story, bro.
95. Carrey was undoubtedly one of the biggest draws in Hollywood throughout the 90s and became the first actor to be paid
Cannabis.
Whoa.
It's not just legal in 38
You were the first actor to get paid 20
It's
what?
a $36 billion global industry.
20 million draws in Hollywood throughout the 90s and became the first actor to be paid $20 million for a
20
role.
mil.
And that was to star in the dark comedy The Cable Guy.
The Cable Guy is a good movie. The Cable Guy is a different movie. That nigga got paid $20 million for that movie. You gotta think about it, bro. This nigga wasn't shit. And think about it. He was on The Living Color. He probably wasn't even getting paid that much for The Living Color. And they said, yo, this nigga the funniest nigga on this bitch. Let's pay this nigga. This nigga got $7 million. His first project. That's for the 90s? That is crazy.
In the top ranks of A-listers, alongside Arnold Schwarzenegger, Harrison Ford, and Sylvester Stallone.
You know what, bro? I don't like how they be saying Arnold Schwarzenegger. Y'all know why I don't like people. Y'all know that, bro. Y'all be putting that nigger a little bit too hard in that nigga name, bro. You know what I'm saying?
You were the first one to get a $20 million movie, right?
That's what they say.
I mean, you had to feel good.
You know, the weirdest thing is that I have never worried about money. Never. Ever. And
So
I
it's
just
not it never
no,
been your
maybe
driving
it's because I
force?
went there and I lived that way and realized that we lived on the road in a van for a while after we were in the worst jobs of our lives, and we were making money, and we decided to quit because we were turning into monsters. We lived in a van and we're happier than we had ever been, and I guess that taught me that to trust the universe.
Carrey's historic payday became a frequent talking point whenever the actor was mentioned. In June of 1995, Variety wrote the headline, H. Wood finds $20 million tab for Carrey.
Well, they thought 20 million for one nigga was crazy back then. Woo, niggas getting hundreds of millions now. Off of ass. Some of this shit be trash, like the movies, music, and everything. But these niggas getting paid hundreds of millions. So they thought 20 million was crazy for one man back in the day? They can survive now, bro.
Playing scary.
They'll be sick right now. They said this shit was scary. If a Hollywood finds 20 million tab for Carrey playing scary.
And Entertainment Weekly wrote, you'd be smiling too if you just got paid $20 million. Although he was just 2 years into his Hollywood boom, he was a little confused.
I know the actors before him was sick. I know they was pissed.
Why did they care so much about the money? Why couldn't they just talk about the art, or his roles, or his acting? His movie, The Cable Guy, was considered a box office flop. Jim was not playing the role of a lovable goof, but rather an unsavory, insidious psychopath. Critics seemingly were harsher on this movie because of all the hype surrounding his $20 million payday. They used this film to basically denounce his worth in Hollywood.
Black comedy is not what you pay someone $20 million to do. What? Let me read this whole thing. Maybe it would have worked better if Cable Guy had become a real friend to Steven, devising love strategies and what I say? I can't say that. I can't say that. I'm sorry. Y'all help me out in the comments. Schemes to win back Robin and thwart her other suitors. As it is, the movie goes in one direction and the cable guy goes in another. And by the end, we aren't really looking forward to seeing Jim Carrey reappear on the screen. I mean, he played a villain, and it wasn't really his movie. It wasn't really his story. What were they expecting? Like, maybe the trailers made them think like it was a Jim Carrey movie. This was not a Jim. He was the villain. Niggas stupid as fuck back in '96. They didn't get shit.
Hollywood, but he felt it was important for him to expand and take creative risks.
Exactly.
I certainly don't want to play it safe my whole life. You know, I don't want to. I think the danger is that you start patronizing your audience. You know, you start to try to see, okay, well, this worked, so I better stick with this. You know, and then no growth happens at all. You know, and you know whether something is a success or not, you have to take the chance of you know, losing a few people, because you do gain others.
Carrey went back to his stereotypical silly self in the 1997 comedy
Liar,
Liar,
Liar.
The story centers around a lawyer's strained relationship with his young son, who, disappointed by his father's broken promises, makes a birthday wish that his dad cannot tell a lie for 24 hours.
The nigga made a birthday wish that his dad could not tell a lie for 24 hours. What happens?
What's up, Fletcher?
What happens if he do tell a lie, or it's just like forced? He can't lie.
Your cholesterol, fatty! Dead man walking!
Liar Liar was a huge critical and commercial success, but Jim remained firm that he was not going to just do comedy roles because it was the safe route for him, and it was because of these creative risks that he made his best because it was the safe route for him. And it was because of these creative risks that he made his best film to date, The Truman Show.
Without the Ace Ventura, I wouldn't be doing it. You know? Without that, I wouldn't be doing it. Because Peter Weir looked at that and he went, here's someone who wants to take chances, who is willing to risk it all, basically.
But a lot of people who love you as Ace and Fire Marshal Bill and all these, The Mask and all of that, have a hard time sometimes understanding why you feel compelled to take these chances.
I'm a human, bro.
I'm not compelled. I just have the opportunity. I'm given the opportunity, so I have
Exactly. You're going to chase that
you
shit.
know, I'm a person who's interested in human behavior and always have been. And I have more colors than just the ones I've shown so far. And I don't negate them in any way. And I want to go back and do fun, crazy, wild stuff. And that's great. It serves a purpose. It makes people forget about their problems.
The Truman Show is a psychological comedy that revolves around the concepts of control, free will, and the blurred boundaries between reality and illusion. Truman Burbank is an ordinary man who slowly realizes that his entire life has been staged as a part of a massive reality television show.
Insane.
Unbeknownst to him, Truman has been the star of the show since birth, living in a constructed town called Sea Haven, where everyone around him are actors. The film's opening arc establishes how Truman's reality is fabricated by a media corporation, governed by a single writer. Everything from his childhood fears to his day-to-day interactions is carefully manufactured by the people behind the central show's production. Time and time again, even the actors around Truman force unsubtle product placements into his narrative, further enhancing the artificial nature of Truman's reality.
You can't stand me.
That's not true.
I gotta rewatch this movie.
Why don't you let me fix you some of this new Mococo drink? All natural cocoa beans from the upper slopes of Mountain Nicaragua, no artificial sweeteners.
What the hell are you talking about? Who are you talking to?
I've tasted other cocos. This is the best.
I can imagine you ask somebody, yo, give me that Sprite over there. And they just be like, Sprite, the best thing you could drink ever. Like, who the fuck is you talking to, bitch? Like, give me the damn cup. Over here making a whole advertisement.
Carrey and his Hollywood peers can become puppets to the entertainment.
Like, he wasn't noticing that. Like I said, I gotta rewatch the movie. I forgot a lot of things about that movie. But he wasn't just wondering, like, why every time my wife or somebody picks up something, They have a mini advertisement. Like I would have been thinking, like, why the fuck is you advertising this shit?
Entertainment industry due to the influence of powerful studios, agents, producers, and executives who prioritize profits over artistic expression. These industry forces often dictate the types of roles these actors take on and the way they are marketed to the public. Actors may be pressured to conform to certain stereotypes or be typecast into specific roles that fit commercial trends.
The Rock is The Rock in every single movie. He might as well just play the same character, to be honest, bro. He the same nigga, bro. If that nigga in Jumanji, if that nigga on top of a tower that's burning, he's still playing the same guy. He played a whole superhero, villain, whatever, anti-hero, and still was The Rock. It don't matter, bro. He was typecasted like hell. The Rock was typecasted.
Limiting their creative freedom. Their image, both on-screen and off-screen, is often extremely managed, with actors sometimes required to maintain certain looks, personas, or behaviors to align with a brand or studio's vision. This environment can strip actors of their autonomy, turning them into commodities within a system rather than an individual. The Truman Show had a profound impact on Carrey because he realized that his real life was actually very similar to Truman's.
Oh, not necessarily, but what I want doesn't stem from show business generally. I mean, I started out with many desires as far as this business goes. I've so surpassed all of them that it's not as meaningful to me anymore. I really love the work itself. I've examined myself on several occasions. Why am I really doing this? Am I doing this because I want to be famous? And I think there was an element to that when I started out. Sure. I think I wasn't necessarily seen as much or as intently as I wanted to be when I was a kid. I had a job, at least in my own mind, and that was to make my mother feel better. She was kind of very ill in many ways, but I felt the need to make them feel that their life was worthwhile, that they did something special just by the very fact that they brought me into the world. Yeah. So from a very young age, I wanted to convince them that I was a miracle. And then I wanted to convince the world that I was a miracle. And now I want to convince the world that I'm just like them.
It seemed around the early 2000s that Jim started to see Hollywood for what it truly is. Behind the glitz and glam, it's just a vapid display of wealth. People with a holier-than-thou mentality, masquerading around, celebrating each other for menial displays of talent, inflating their egos to dangerous levels. In deeper interviews, it was clear Jim was aware of his role in this soulless machine, but he didn't reveal his true thoughts and feelings about it. Yet. The Truman Show was a critical success, grossing over $264 million worldwide. It also marked a significant shift for Jim. As he demonstrated his range and depth as an actor, he even earned a Golden Globe for Best Actor in a Motion Picture Drama.
Well, I went to college right out of high school, and I failed miserably. I decided to go back to school.
Globe for Best Actor in a Motion Picture Drama.
No, thank you very much, Hollywood Foreign Press. I will really love this. I'll enjoy it so much, right down to the chewy chocolate center.
Unfortunately, what should have been the start of a string of experimental projects for Carrey never occurred, as the comedian retreated back to his comfort zone. Entering the 2000s, Carrey continued appearing in comedy blockbusters like Me, Myself, and Irene, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, and Bruce Almighty. He even reintroduced himself to a new generation of children through films like Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events and A Christmas Carol, as well as the animated film Horton Hears a...
He was in Horton Hears a Who? I did not know that, bro. I did not know that. I'm guessing he was the little homie right here. I did not know that, bro.
The Who. These films combined made well over $1 billion at the worldwide box office. But even in the middle of his success, Jim struggled with depression, questioning what his purpose was in all of this.
I was on Prozac for a long time. Yep, I was on Prozac for a long time, and I'm not sure. I mean, it may have helped me out of a jam for a little bit. I had to get off at a certain point because I realized that, you know, everything's just okay.
No peaks and valleys.
There are peaks, there are valleys, but they're all kind of carved and smoothed out, and it feels like a low level of despair you live in.
where you're not getting any answers, but you're living okay. And you can smile at the office, you know?
Yeah, I noticed. I don't know if I'm noticing this about life and shit. Like, I know that when you don't got money, bruh, you worry about getting money. When you get money, you worry about what is your place in life. Like, I would think it would be the other way around. Like, you'll worry about, like, where my place in life at so then I can make the money. So then, you know what I'm saying? But it seems like we so worried about getting the money first that when we get the money and then we live in our height, we wonder, like, what's my purpose and, like, what am I getting out of this? What are people around me getting out of this? What's the world getting out of this? What am I doing for me to help me better with my mental? I don't know though. Maybe I'm just talking.
But it's a low level of despair.
And you don't take any of them, or you don't take anything now?
Nothing. I don't take anything. I rarely drink coffee. I'm very serious about no alcohol, no drugs. Life is too beautiful. It's where I hang out with Buddha and Krishna and, you know, all those guys.
Are you a
Jesus.
Buddhist?
I'm a Buddhist, I'm a Muslim, I'm a Christian, I'm whatever you want me to be. You know, it all comes down to the same thing. You're in a loving place or you're in an unloving place. If you're with me right now, we cannot be unhappy. It's not possible.
After winning multiple awards, generating hundreds of millions of dollars, and being considered a living legend in the entertainment industry, in 2009, Jim seemingly had an awakening through the readings of Eckhart Tolle, a spiritual teacher and self-help author.
I woke up and I understood suddenly.
Why they got the voice like that?
Is responsible for, if not all, most of the suffering we experience. And then I suddenly felt like I was looking at these thoughts from another perspective. And I wondered, who is it that's aware that I'm thinking? I was thrown into this expansive, amazing feeling of freedom from myself, from my problems. I saw that I was bigger than what I do. I was bigger than my body. I was everything and everyone. Ever since that day, I've been trying to get back there.
Jim also gave a profound speech to the graduating class of Maharishi University of Management.
When I was about 28, after a decade as a professional comedian, I realized one night in LA that the purpose of my life had always been to free people from concern, just like my dad. And when I realized this, I dubbed my new devotion the Church of Freedom from Concern. And I dedicated myself to that ministry. What's yours? How will you serve the world? What do they need that your talent can provide? That's all you have to figure out. As someone who's done what you're about to go and do, I can tell you from experience, the effect you have on others is the most valuable currency there is. Everything you gain in life will rot and fall apart, and all that will be left of you is what was in your heart. My choosing to free people from concern got me to
bar. That nigga said a bar.
The top of a mountain. Look where I am. Look what I get to do. I did something that made people present their best selves to me wherever I go. I am at the top of the mountain, and I was, and the only one I hadn't freed was myself. And that's when my search for identity deepened. I wondered who I'd be without my fame. Who would I be if I said things that people didn't want to hear? That peace that we're after lies somewhere beyond personality, beyond the perception of others, beyond invention and disguise, even beyond effort itself. To find real peace, you have to let the armor go. Your need for acceptance can make you invisible in this world.
That nigga just said some shit. That nigga said your need for acceptance can make you invisible in the world.
For acceptance can make you invisible in this world.
That nigga said something. He made a nigga whistle in the crowd. That nigga spitting.
Don't let anything stand in the way of the light that shines through this form. Risk being seen in all of your glory.
Carrey's career took a significant nosedive during the 2010s, with his only notable role being Thomas Popper Jr. in Mr. Popper's Penguins, and the reprisal of his role as Lloyd in Dumb and Dumber 2, which was significantly less successful than its predecessor, both critically and commercially. But while promoting Dumb and Dumber 2, he had a strange appearance on Jimmy Kimmel Live.
Is that a gang sign? Have you,
Oh, like you don't know what it is. You don't know what that is.
I have no idea.
Well, you don't know. Jimmy Fallon doesn't know. David Letterman doesn't know.
We don't know.
All the comics and show business don't know.
We're finna get to the. We're finna get into this shit.
To blow the lid off it, to be the whistleblower. I'm sick and tired of the secrets and the lies. It is the secret symbol of the Illuminati, and you're a part of it. And it is the all-mocking tongue. For years now, talk show hosts, people on television.
To be in Jim Fallon's head at the moment this nigga did this would have been priceless. Because if all this is true, I know that nigga, I know in his head he was like, they're gonna kill this nigga. This nigga is wildin'.
Television people in sitcoms have been hired.
Look at him. Just look at him, bro. Look at him. He's like, yo, shut the fuck up.
Hired by the government to throw you off the track, to distract you, to make you laugh and stuff like that, make you happy and
He's too tense. He not loose enough. Like, you can tell like he's trying to like shut the fuck up. Okay.
So you don't know what's really going on. You know, when they get out there in the woods in a circle naked and they decide.
They do that. They do that. Video proof out there. Y'all go look.
These things. You know what they're trying to do? Who? This thing is buzzing. Hold on. They're trying to turn us into, you know, consumer drones of some sort. Hold on, I just got to get this.
And yeah.
Yeah, listen, I'm in the middle of blowing the lid off some.
What happened?
I'm sorry, Jimmy. I was temporarily interrupted by my iPhone 6 Plus. 5.5 heads-up HD display. I think what I was really trying to say was I think people really enjoyed Dumb and Dumber this weekend.
There were multiple sources that claimed that they were at the show and that the whole time there was no actual audience laughter. And a laugh track was added in post-production to the video that was uploaded to YouTube. Some people looked at Jim's mockery as brave, that he was potentially exposing the truth and that his life could be in danger. Others dismissed this as an actor who is past his prime and merely trying to do something shocking to promote a movie. But Carrey's public awakening and attacks on Hollywood did not slow down. During his 2016 Golden Globe speech, he was a little sarcastic, but his message was very clear.
You know, when I go to sleep at night, I'm not just a guy going to sleep. I'm two-time Golden Globe winner Jim Carrey going to get some well-needed shut-eye. And when I dream, I don't just dream any old dream. No, sir. I dream about being three-time Golden Globe winning actor Jim Carrey, because then I would be enough, and I could stop this terrible search for what I know ultimately won't fulfill me. But these are important, these awards. I don't want you to think that just because if you blew up our solar system alone, you wouldn't be able to find us or any of human history with the naked eye. But from our perspective.
Twisted Tea is a refreshing, hard iced tea made with real brewed tea. Keep it twisted.
This is huge.
Coincidentally, at the same time Jim was outwardly speaking about his spiritual awakening and calling out the horrors of Hollywood, he was also in the middle of some pretty dark times, with shocking allegations against him that he could have prevented and allegedly caused the death of his then girlfriend, Katrina White. Carrey had been periodically dating Irish-born makeup artist Katrina White since 2012. In 2013, White married Mark Burton, but continued occasionally seeing Carrey until her untimely untimely death on September 28, 2015. The Los Angeles County Coroner's Office later ruled White took her own life by overdosing on prescription drugs, including Ambien, propranolol, and Percocet. Katrina often posted on her Instagram subtle hints that she was constantly working on her mental health, posting motivational, spiritual quotes, or self-help messages. She was also a few months into her journey studying Scientology, which, as we learned in my Tom Cruise video, typically begins with someone paying for auditing sessions, which is their version of therapy. On September 19th, 2016, Burton filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Carrey, claiming that he illegally obtained and supplied White with the powerful painkillers that killed her. The lawsuit alleged that Carrey had surveillance cameras on the home where White stayed. Before she was discovered, Carrey's assistant checked the camera and noticed White had not moved from the home for more than 24 hours. After learning of this fact, neither Carrey nor his assistant alerted authorities. The drugs found in White's body all came from 3 pill bottles found near her body bearing the name Arthur King. The suit said that Carrey got the drugs from a doctor who conspired with Carrey to illegally prescribe them to him under the false name of Arthur King. Burton's suit claimed that Carrey also sent a bogus text message to White on September 27th when she was already dead in an attempt to straighten out his story. According to the suit, Carrey's offer to pay for White's funeral in Ireland was merely an effort to paint him as a grieving good guy, as opposed to someone closely involved in her death. But Burton's suit also claimed that Carrey never actually paid for any of the funeral expenses. In response to the lawsuit, Carrey stated, "What a terrible shame. It would be easy for me to get in a back room with this man's lawyer and make this go away. But there are some moments in life when you have to stand up and defend your honor against the evil in this world." The following month, on October 11th, 2016, Katrina White's mother, Bridget Sweetman, sued Carrey for wrongful death and sought damages for violation of the Drug Dealer Liability Act. In court documents obtained by Us Weekly, Sweetman accused Carrey of giving her daughter prescription drugs as well as sexually transmitted diseases and being verbally abusive. Carrey's abuse included, but was not limited to, Carrey giving Miss White 3 STDs without warning her, lying to her about it, dumping her out of concern for saving his own carefully crafted public image, calling her a whore and shaming her, and then using his high-priced Hollywood lawyers and fixers to intimidate and threaten her in an effort to silence her. Attorneys representing White's family released a 2013 iPad note allegedly sent from White to Carrey, which in part read, "This is what I want. You gave me HSV and HPV. I want you to apologize for it because you care enough to. I want you to understand that however little a thing seems to you, it ruins a girl's life. Before you, I might not have had very much, but I had respect. I was a happy person. I loved life. I was confident and I felt good in my own skin and was proud of most decisions I made. I met you, you introduced me to cocaine, prostitutes, mental abuse, and disease." However, what I found interesting was that there was another note that looks handwritten that was being spread around. Yet the article was quoting a different note. Like they were displaying this handwritten note as the evidence and saying that this was the iPad note, but then there was a separate iPad note that they were directly quoting, and the two notes are written very similarly, and they contain basically all the same subject matter, but they're not the same. So how could you write an article that says, in the letter she says blah blah blah, and then display the letter as your evidence where it does not say what you just said it says? Soon after Sweetman filed the lawsuit, the Daily Mail reported that a Mr. Jose Lopez, believed to be an alias used by Carrey, filed an STD test. The test showed Lopez's birth date listed as January 17th, 1962, the same as Carrey, and also showed positive results for both types of herpes, chlamydia, and hepatitis A. The results of Lopez's tests were submitted as evidence by Sweetman's lawyer, Michael Avenatti, who also issued a declaration. Carrey then proceeded to have unprotected sex with Miss White with full knowledge that he was STD positive, including on February 12, 2013, 2 days before Valentine's Day and within weeks after learning the test results. It's interesting that in these lawsuits, they claim 2 different times that Carrey used fake names, one to obtain drugs and one to obtain an STD test. But how do they know this? What evidence did they provide to prove this? These are some major accusations and not enough evidence to back it up. Because of that, the wrongful death The lawsuit against Carrey had been dismissed in February of 2018. There seemingly was a settlement outside of court. Without a trial, we won't really know what happened. But blaming someone else's death, especially in the way that it happened, on someone else is definitely a complicated situation. Typically, those types of deaths are not caused by just one thing, but rather a potential lifetime of issues that, unfortunately, we just don't seem to know how to solve. But by this point, Jim had experienced all of the glory and wrath Hollywood can offer. They love you, then criticize you, then put you in a box and determine who you are. They might even accuse you of committing horrible crimes. But the trade-off is that they give you millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars. And it was abundantly clear in 2017 that Jim was fed up with the Hollywood game. Notably, New York Fashion Week red carpet interview where he made a bunch of existential philosophical pronouncements.
No, I'm doing just fine.
This is the first time I've seen this nigga like. I was like, what the fuck is this man talking about? What he on?
Thing that I could come to and join, and here I am.
They're
I mean, you gotta admit it's completely meaningless.
Well, they say they're celebrating icons inside.
Celebrating
Do you believe
icons,
in
boy, that is just the absolute lowest aiming, possibility that we could come up with. I don't believe in icons. I don't believe in personalities. I believe that peace lies beyond personality, beyond invention and disguise, beyond the red S that you wear on your chest that makes bullets bounce off. I believe that it's deeper than that. I believe we're a field of energy dancing for itself.
Jim, you got really dressed up for the occasion. You look good.
No, I didn't.
Was that an accident?
I didn't get dressed up.
Who did?
There is no me.
There's no you.
No.
We're not here. This is a dream?
It's just things happening. And there are clusters of tetrahedrons moving around together.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's happening in our world right now? Because there is a lot of news that actually is relevant that's not that
Here's
uplifting.
the thing. It's not our world.
None
That's
of this
the
is
key.
real?
Nope.
So you're just passing
We don't
through.
matter. We don't matter.
Oh, wow.
There's the good news.
While some headlines questioned his sanity, others felt like he was just experiencing an ego death, something that a lot of people in Hollywood could probably benefit from.
I think that we're all, we're all trying to add things to ourselves so that we can finally define ourselves, and then everybody will get us and they'll go, okay, this is what you are. And then if you actually get there, you will find it so empty that you'll realize that's really not what it's about. It's about not only, just going with the flow, but it's about not taking it personally. It's like the difference between a house and my house is a world of difference, and it's the my that's the problem.
I mean, he got a point, cause I be saying these rich niggas, bro, they be having $50 million of houses, bro. Let's say one nigga got $50 million house, and then the next nigga got a $70 million house, right? The $70 million house nigga will make fun of the $50 million house nigga. Like, what? Like, y'all niggas rich. I got a song I made if you want to react to it. Yeah, send what it called, bro? Send that shit to me. Let me hear it. But that shit, it just don't make no sense to me, bro. It don't make no sense to me. Like, these rich niggas, they so rich. Like, I think once you get rich, like, you ain't gonna get made fun of. Like, but you gotta worry about the rich niggas making fun of you. Oh, you ain't got $100 million of this. You ain't got $100 million. That's why, like, I feel like niggas who get let's say if I get $1 million, right? You're gonna be that nigga with more money than me, right? Gonna be like, yo, you don't got that $200,000. You don't got that $300,000. Like, I feel like he said, people need to kill their egos and kill their needs. I'm like that too, though. Like, there's some things I want that I really don't need. You dig what I'm saying? Like, shit just the world don't make sense, bruh. The world just don't make sense, bro. It don't matter if you poor or rich, you still gonna get made fun of. It don't matter. And your ego, bruh, I say kill that shit before you get rich. For real, cause you're gonna end up like a Diddy or a fucking somebody, Jay-Z, thinking you can just do whatever you wanna do.
Don't get me wrong, Jim Carrey is a great character, and I was lucky to get the part. But I don't think of that as me anymore.
I don't exist. So they're all characters that I've played, including Jim Carrey, including Joel Barish, including any of those things. They're all characters. You know, Jim Carrey was a less intentional character, right? Because I thought I was just building something that people would like, but it was a character, you know. So it's, you know, I played the guy that was free from concern so that people who watched me would be free from concern.
Carrey continued to express that his identity to the world is a character, not a real representation of who he actually is. As an actor, you play characters, and if you go deep enough into those characters, you realize your own character is pretty thin to begin with. You suddenly have this separation and go, who's Jim Carrey? Oh, he doesn't exist actually. There's just a relative manifestation of consciousness appearing, and someone gave him a name, a religion, a nationality, and he clustered those together into something that's supposed to be a personality, and it doesn't actually exist. None of that stuff, if you drill down, is real. Hollywood will not make you happy. A career or a dream job will not make you happy. But you shouldn't let that disappoint you. Instead, let it free you of the constraints and the pressures that you or society have put on yourself. What you do is not who you are. So you might as well try as hard as you can to do something that you actually love, not because you're searching for an identity or a purpose, but simply because it's a little easier than doing something you hate. And instead, let your friends, family, food, nature, and God determine your happiness.
I feel like, and this is something you might never hear another celebrity say as long as time exists, I have enough. I've done enough. I am enough.
What the fuck? Shout out to
It's 10 p.m.
shout out to Jim Carrey, man. That's a legend. Know what I'm saying? Like I said, I first watched Jim Carrey when I was young. I think the first movie I watched was
Once
The
he
Mask.
reached the pinnacle of fame and fortune,
I watched The Mask and became a fan ever since. Still a fan, bro. Still watch the Sonic joints. That's the main reason I watch the Sonic movies. It's because of Jim Carrey. They could be cooking, bro. When he passed away, boy, it's gonna be a day. It's gonna be a day. But another good video by Patrick CC, man. If y'all enjoy this content, make sure y'all hit that like button, hit that sub button, hit that bell button so you know when I post, and hit them comments so I know what you're thinking. And with all that being said, peoples, hope y'all stay blessed, and I will see you all later.